And now my car won't start.
Money rush, I got money crash. Shawty can't fuck me up cause I'm in love with drugs. Shawty can't fuck me up cause I'm in love with drugs. Shawty can't fuck me up cause I'm in love with drugs.
Here's the package. It's by Lonky and it's like a custom steering wheel cover. And whenever you open it, you got the QR code for their website, handwritten thank you note. And then right here you have your thread. I don't know what that is, like a thumb needle, double-sided tape, and this is for like pushing the leather into like the tight areas, like in there you can push it in. And then you have the actual leather itself, and I'll show this like all spread out, but that's the leather. And then you have just a piece of paper with like instructions, and then you can watch like their videos that they made. But this specific brand doesn't have like the best videos, but there's a lot of leather here, so I'll lay it on the steering wheel. All right, so I already started working on putting it around like the steering wheel, but I forgot to show you guys like why I'm doing this. On Hondas, especially the 7th gens, I don't know about the other cars, but I know the 7th gen Accords, they don't come with real leather. It's just like a foam steering wheel, and it's like a renowned problem that it just like falls apart. And so this is really nice real leather, and so hopefully it'll be like an OEM feeling, and it won't, I mean, it will be a lot better. It won't have a bunch of crap on your hands. And then also I plasti dipped this just like real quick because this badge was like silver chrome and the paint fell off like super easily, and that's also a renowned problem, so I just did that, and I think it'll look good with having the black. I mean, you can see it does look good. It's pretty nice. Whenever you're putting it on, you really have to like stretch it out to get it around the whole steering wheel at first, but now it's like on there. And then to center everything, you can just kind of see that goes there. I mean, it all lines up. It's pretty self-explanatory, but what you can see on the steering wheel is right there. There's kind of like a midline through the whole steering wheel that has that, to show like where the very middle of the steering wheel is. And so what you can do is take the leather and just kind of like squeeze it in to make sure that it's centered like that, and then you can just do that all around the whole steering wheel, make sure it's center. And then what you can do with these parts to make sure they're correct, lighter part, the thinner part, is where you're going to tuck it into all of those like small spaces right there. And so what you want to do is just line up that darker thick part right to the edge of that, because the rest of that you'll just be tucking inside. I got all the tape on, it's right there. Now I just gotta peel, I mean I did it all the way, and you want to make sure you get it on the other side too, and also on like the backs of these right there. And then on this I just did like tiny pieces just right there. Don't want to put it like on like the thread that's already there, because that'll mess you up. All right, I got all taped up. I will say right here on like the left and right side, it was kind of hard to like tape it correctly, so really just make sure that you have it centered like 100%. So now I'm supposed to push it into all the small areas and stuff. So this will probably be the easiest place to show you, but whenever you're pushing it in, you don't want to like take the leather and push in like that, because that'll mess up the leather. What you want to do is kind of what you can see right here is you just take it, you flip it inside out, and then you just kind of push it in. It's hard to do on camera, but you can kind of see what you're supposed to do. You don't push it in like that. You gotta like fold it out and then push, just like roll it in with this, and you can kind of see how that works. You just roll it in, and then it just kind of pushes itself in. And then you do that all the way around, and I'll show you after I do that little piece. So you can see after I put it in and shoved it all the way in, it turned out really nice, and those waves I was talking about kind of go away. But because it has to be sewn in some parts, it kind of like pushes back up and it kind of starts pulling back out, especially in a place like right here where you have to sew these two pieces together. After that's pushed in, that'll still be kind of pulling it out until you sew it. So after you're done sewing, you probably want to come back around with the little like yellow pusher thingy and just double check and push everything back in. Okay, so just like I was thinking, this was literally the hardest part that I've done. This one part probably took me like 20 or 30 minutes just to get in there. I would recommend, honestly, stitching it first. I think you can do this because those were pretty easy, but I would recommend like starting up here, stitching all of that so that you have all the wrinkles and the leftovers out. So I would definitely recommend stitching it first from the top all the way down to maybe like just right here, and then maybe doing the bottom too before you push this in. So you go from the bottom all the way up to like right here, and then from the top all the way around to over here, so that you just know how much slack you have and how much you actually need to push in. I'll do that and then show you like how much slack you need, and then I'll show you how to do this. Okay, so I would recommend, like I said, to like sew from the top down and then from the bottom up. You can push that in, but since this is so hard, I would recommend sewing until right about here and right about here, so that you can see how much slack you need to actually push in and make that tight. So I really have no idea how to sew. This is what they gave me. That you got 2 of these strings. I think it has 2 needles, a thimble or whatever that's called. I thought it looked different. And these are the instructions. I'll put like a still shot of this so you can get a general idea, but apparently you have to like go through the same holes a few times, and then you have to like actually use the strings that are already there, and you like go inside of them and then like pull them. I don't really know how to sew, so I'll try it out. Okay, so I finally got started with the actual stitching. I really don't know how to sew, but I tied a knot under this after going back and forth a few times, and then you go from the top across, and you kind of, it's easier to see on this side. You skip every other thread into this one, and then you cross over there and you snatch one of those, and then you skip this loop. So you, right here you would have 4 loops. So one, you grab that one, skip, grab that one after you come back from over there. You have that loop, and you skip that one, and then you go, this is really hard to do with one hand, and then you go underneath it right there, and then you push it, pull all the way through, and then you can see it. You just pull your string through, and then you have that kind of like cross hatch pattern right there, and then you just pull that, and I'm gonna go all the way up until like this kind of like edge right here. That's where I started, right here too, and then I'm gonna pull it all. Really don't do that, but be careful whenever you're pulling it, because this thread really isn't the greatest, and it broke right here, and so I really didn't want to redo this because that alone took a few minutes, and I have to get this done, and the whole thing is done, and it's getting late, so I just retied it, and I'm going to continue doing it. So basically just make sure that you pull it as you go, and also be really like careful whenever you're pulling on it. All right, it's the next day. I finally finished stitching the entire thing. It's super nice. I'll show you a better shot once I've finished tucking everything in. I think it's pretty common sense, but just if you never like thought about it, obviously like rotate your wheel as you go, and you can't do it while you have the car off. So just put your key in, turn it, and then turn your wheel, so that I found it easier to work on like whenever it's on the bottom, so I can like stitch while I'm looking down, because it's a lot harder to like bend your body and look up like that and then stitch upside down almost, and then stitch starting from back here all the way up. Don't tuck this in yet, kind of like I did here. So you just want to stitch everything all the way up. All of this is stitched up back here, under here, all of it is stitched, and then this isn't tucked yet. You can kind of see where it needs to be tucked right there on that crease. And so do all that, and then what you want to do is take your tool and then you can just kind of start the tucking process at this top corner. So you got your badge and you got your buttons and your black pieces. You want to start tucking right there, because that's the least tight part, and then you can kind of use that to just play off of and use your tool to push off and use that piece. And like I was saying earlier, just because these pieces right here, these 2 black pieces, are so tight, don't do what you're supposed to do, where you like fold the piece where you like fold the piece like that and then push it in like that. You kind of roll it in, because you literally can't do that. So you just have to, on these pieces, is just shove it in like that. And even then it's super hard. But I'll show you after it's done, and I'll kind of show you halfway through so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. So I'll show you what I was talking about right here. If you can see, you want to start on the very back because that's the most spacious part. So this is kind of the process that I'm doing. You can see up here it's completely done for this little portion. And then right here it's pushed in, but there's still slack there and it's bubbling up. And then right here it's not pushed in at all. So I'll show you the process. What I'm doing is I'm peeling it back right here, and then I just push it to where it's just the tiniest bit, and then that's where I would take my tool and just push it in, and then I would take it back out, put just the tiniest bit, push that in, and then you get what you have right here, which is where it's pushed in, except you have like slack and it wrinkles up. But that's fine, because now that you're inside the actual piece of plastic, it is 100 times easier to just take this slack, and don't use the corner because that'll like be easier to rip it. Just use the entire thing and just slide that slack in there. You can kind of go up with it, put that pressure, and then just slide it in, and then you get what I have right here, where it's completely flat, completely tucked, and it's perfect. So I just went on a quick test drive. I finished it all up. It feels amazing. It looks 100 million times better. It's good on all the seams. All the stitching is good. But I just went on a test drive, and now my car won't start. So, like, it literally just won't start. So either my battery's bad, or you guys will be getting another tutorial video on how to fix a piece of crap Honda. So yeah, that's it for this video. Steering wheel turned out really good. Once again, after your whole mess, this is the Lonky steering wheel. It's custom for this car. I can leave the link in the description. I just got it on Amazon, but it turned out really good and it looks great. Now I just got to clean up the mess and fix the rest of my car so I can actually drive it.